On the night of March 27, 1999, during NATO's bombing campaign over Yugoslavia, the F-117A Nighthawk, with the callsign Vega 31, piloted by Lieutenant Colonel Darrell Zelko, flew into Serbian airspace to strike the Serbian Air Force Command Center in Belgrade. This was the headquarters of the Air Defense Force that would try to tear him from the sky that night. Meanwhile, an S-125 Neva SAM battery under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Zoltán Dani had been warned in advance using low-frequency P-18 radar, blink radar tactics, and a golden opportunity when the Nighthawk opened its bomb bay to achieve a missile lock, launch 2 missiles, and become the only unit in history to shoot down a stealth aircraft in combat. It's the 27th of March, 1999. In the dark, stormy night sky over the Serbian countryside, a black shape some 65 feet long tears through the air, disturbed airflow curling along its arrowhead wings. This is an F-117A Nighthawk, the invisible ghost of the United States Air Force. Inside the small cockpit, bathed in soft green light, Lieutenant Colonel Darrell Zelko grips the control stick a little tighter. In front of him, the mission display glows. Target: Serbian Air Force Command Center in Belgrade, the brain of the Air Defense Force, that tonight will try to rip him out of the sky. Far behind him, just minutes earlier, he'd still had the company of F-16 Vipers, carrying anti-radiation missiles, the kind of weapon that could erase an enemy radar station with a single button press. But then, a cold voice came over the radio.
Mako 1. Execute aggressive maneuvering protocol Delta.
Due to weather, escort Vipers RTB immediately. Zelko glances to the side, watching the streaks of light from the Vipers slowly peel away and vanish into the clouds. He exhales slowly and drives on alone into the dark. In his headset, there is only the sound of wind rushing over the airframe and the hoarse rumble of the engines behind him. He knows the theory. On an enemy radar screen, this multi-hundred-million-dollar aircraft shows up like a baseball.
I think we just picked up the opening pitch on the long-range scope.
The joke radar operators in the US like to tell each other about the Nighthawk suddenly feels hauntingly real. To survive tonight, he truly has to be a ghost. No sound, no shape, no trace. On the HUD, the flight path snakes low under the cloud deck, hugging the rough terrain of the Serbian countryside. Every small shudder of the airframe is a reminder. One mistake and it's over. Dozens of kilometers below, the darkness wraps around villages, fields, and highways. Scattered points of light, houses, street lamps, car headlights, have no idea that a ghost is sliding overhead, carrying precision-guided bombs that are about to slam into the heart of their Air Force headquarters. On the radio, silence. In the cockpit, only the sound of his own breathing echoing back through the oxygen mask. The mission computer counts down the distance to the target. In a few minutes, he will be over Belgrade, drop his bombs, and then fade back into the night, like dozens of F-117 sorties before this one, without a scratch. That's the plan. But tonight, someone else is waiting for him. At the same time, on the ground, in a concealed position amid the Serbian fields, an S-125 Neva surface-to-air missile battery sits silent, like just another patch of dead farmland. But inside the control cabin, the atmosphere is anything but dead. Lieutenant Colonel Zoltán Dani, the unit's commander, stands close to the green glow of the radar screen, eyes locked on the flickering traces. He has been warned. The stealth aircraft are coming. Networks of scouts, informants, signal intercepts have whispered it along. Tonight, he believes this is his best chance to bring down one of these ghosts. Sweep the skies, Dani orders. The low-frequency P-18 early warning radar spins up, its invisible pulses shooting into the sky. The screen immediately fills with clutter, rain, clouds, terrain, all mixing into a chaotic mess. To some officers, it looks like pure trash, but not to Dani. He knows that at low frequencies, the P-18 might catch something that more modern radars miss. Even the faintest blur, a tiny smudge, could be enough. "I don't see the target," one operator reports, a bit perplexed. Dani narrows his eyes. He leans closer toward the display, gripping the edge of the console. And then, amid the storm clutter and ground returns, he sees it. A tiny dot moving against the direction of the wind, heading straight toward them. "I see it," he says quietly, but everyone in the cabin hears. The ghost is here. The mood in the cabin shifts. Someone swallows hard. A ghost they've heard about for months, advertised as invisible, untouchable, is now appearing before them as nothing more than a faint speck. Turn on the targeting radar. It's on. The S-125's fire control radar, the one that can lock a target to guide the missiles, comes alive for a few precious seconds. The screen is empty. I don't see the target. Nothing. Keep looking. Dani stares back at the P-18, confirming the little dot is still there, getting closer. The ghost is flying straight at them. But the fire control radar still sees nothing. If they keep it on too long, they risk exposing themselves to NATO anti-radiation missiles. If they turn it off, they might lose their one chance. Up above, Zelko has no idea about the eye watching him from the ground. He focuses on the mission. The computer is preparing the bomb run. His hands refine the aim point, the HUD's glow reflecting off his visor. At the designated moment, he hits the switch. The bomb bay doors open. Panels in the belly of the Nighthawk fold down, revealing the guided bombs inside. In that instant, the aircraft's radar cross-section bloats. And down below, in Serbia, that is exactly the moment Dani has been waiting for. One operator suddenly shouts, "I have it! I have it!" Phi 2 is tracking the target. Phi 1 is tracking target. The S-125 launcher rails elevate, locking onto the position of the tiny speck that has just bloomed into a clear target. Launch. 2 missiles leap from the rails almost simultaneously, leaving twin tails of fire that rip across the night sky, climbing toward Vega 31, the ghost that had been believed to be untouchable. High above, Zelko doesn't hear the missiles launching, and he doesn't see anything except dark clouds and distant lightning. He has just released his bombs, laser-guided weapons streaking along an invisible beam toward the Serbian Air Force Command Center. On his HUD, the target symbol switches from blinking to a solid dot. Mission accomplished. He pulls the aircraft up, beginning his egress, climbing to around 6 kilometers to get out of the threat zone. Another mission, he thinks. Another target erased. Then the cockpit screams. A shrill warning tone rips through his headset, and the instrument panel in front of him blooms with red lights. Lock alert. Almost at the same time, through the clouds, he sees 2 white-hot trails flare up, punching through the overcast and streaking straight toward him. There is no time to think. He jerks the stick, pulling hard. The F-117 howls, the airframe shuddering as he yanks it into the hardest evasive maneuver he can manage. G-forces slam him into the seat, pinning his back and neck, closing down his field of view. The Nighthawk has no chaff, no sophisticated decoy suite like many other jets. Tonight, it's down to just one pilot's skill against 2 surface-to-air missiles. Time seems to slow. In his head, a clear, cold thought surfaces. They got me. Both missiles carry proximity-fused warheads. In theory, they only need to get near the target to detonate, spraying out a cloud of lethal shrapnel. The first missile flashes past the edge of his canopy, close enough that he can almost imagine seeing its body in detail. But it doesn't explode. Some glitch, some error, some freak stroke of luck. It whips past his nose and vanishes into the dark. The second missile shows no mercy. A white flash flares by his left wing, followed by a fiery orange ball of explosion. The proximity fuse triggers, spewing out a cloud of razor-sharp steel fragments. Almost the entire left side of the Nighthawk is shredded. The left wing is punched full of holes, its skin ripped apart like paper, fuel igniting and casting an infernal orange glow across the sky. The aircraft immediately loses control. It bucks up, then flips over. The G-load swings abruptly, hurling Zelko sideways, then slamming him back into his seat. Outside the windows, everything becomes a hellish carousel. Fire, clouds, ground, sky, spinning in a sickening circle. Inside the cockpit, warning lights strobe wildly, sirens overlapping. Zelko tries to regain control, but every movement of the stick only makes the spin tighter. He understands, if this continues, both he and the aircraft will become a burning ball of metal, smashing into the Serbian countryside. But even sitting up enough to reach the ejection handle is a battle. The G-meter is pushing about 7G, meaning nearly 100 pounds of force pressed down on each arm as he tries to lift them. He strains, teeth clenched. Every muscle screams. Just one more motion, pulling the handle between his legs, separates him from death. With a final, desperate surge, he gets a grip on the ejection handle and pulls. In a blink, the canopy detonates and blows away, cold wind and fire slamming in. The seat rockets him out of the cockpit, flinging him into the dark, amid clouds and streaks of flame. For 1.5 seconds that feel like an eternity, he freefalls, still strapped to the seat, unsure where he is or whether the ejection seat has actually separated from the aircraft. Then he feels the violent tug of the parachute opening. The crushing sense of tumbling vanishes, replaced by an unexpected pocket of silence. Below him, the F-117 Vega 31, the ghost once believed to be invisible, is burning, tumbling, and then plunging toward the Serbian soil. The cold night wind lashes his face. Zelko breathes hard behind the oxygen mask, mind reeling. For a few seconds, he's not even sure whether he's alive. The sense of spinning madness still rings in his ears, like the echo of a death that just brushed past. He looks up. Above him is a canopy, bright orange. He curses silently. Instead of a dark, hard-to-see parachute suited for night ops, he is dangling beneath a blazingly bright orange sheet, like he's waving a flare in the sky. Man, Mom is not going to be happy about this, he thinks, a strange streak of humor cutting through the survival shock. Below his feet, the darkness slowly sharpens. Fields, ditches, dirt roads. He spots a trench, a ditch, coming into view. Before he can say much more on the radio, he slams into the ground. Pain explodes, but he's in one piece. He cuts the risers, scrambles toward the ditch he saw from the air. Every second that passes, he knows Serbian units are being alerted. An American pilot has just fallen into their countryside, and everyone will want to be the first to find him. He brings up his survival radio. Mayday, 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 Vega 31, Vega 31, going down. Over the net, a voice responds. Magic, the airborne command and control. Vega 31, Magic copies your Mayday, last position. Vega 31, last position in aircraft, point after target. At least, he thinks, his own people have heard him. Zelko slides down into the ditch. hurriedly smearing mud over his body, his face, his flight suit. He turns himself into a filthy, earth-colored shadow, pressed flat against the ground, holding his breath. It doesn't take long before he hears truck engines. Headlights sweep low across the fields. Shouts, running footsteps, Serbian voices over radios. The news that a U.S. stealth jet has been shot down spreads frighteningly fast. Soldiers, police, militia, even villagers, they all fan out across the fields. Flashlights swing, white beams dragging over weeds, tree stumps, ditches. All Zelko can do is sit still and pray. Then he hears something rustling in the brush, very close. Soft steps, then heavy breathing, snuffling, claws on soil. A dog. He slowly draws his knife from its sheath. In the darkness, he weighs his options. If it finds him, it will bark. If he kills it, its owner will notice the sudden silence immediately. Both choices could get him killed. The dog moves closer, sniffing. Its breathing grows louder in his ears. He holds his breath, his body as rigid as stone. His hand tightens around the knife. A few endless seconds go by. Then, suddenly, the dog turns, bounds up out of the ditch, and leaves, its paw steps fading away. Zelko exhales, chest aching. He has just gambled his life on the instincts of a dog. And won. The radio cracked.
One, consolidate on my position. We are Oscar Mike. Get to the extraction point now, over.
The rescue aircraft have reached the area. Sandy, the familiar call sign of CSAR units specializing in combat search and rescue. Go ahead, Sandy 01. Over. Vega 3-1. Is it okay to come down there? He lifts his head, peeking over the lip of the ditch. In the distance, flashlights still sweep, but he also hears the faint thump of helicopter rotors in the wind. If he answers, he confirms his presence to both friends and enemies. If he stays silent, the helicopter may pull away, losing a golden rescue window. Vega 31, if you don't answer, we're going to try this later. Once again, he has to choose. He swallows, scans his surroundings, and decides. Yeah, okay, let's go for it. He turns on his infrared strobe, hoping the helicopter can spot him through night vision goggles. But nothing happens. Overhead, the helicopter keeps circling, unable to find the faint IR flash. He curses. The strobe has failed. He still has one more tool, a flare. But if he fires it, he will expose himself to everyone, friend, foe, and curious villagers. This is the third life or death gamble of the night. He pulls the flare, takes a deep breath, and yanks the igniter. A blinding column of light erupts, washing the field around him in white and orange. Every flashlight in the area immediately whips toward a single point, where he is. On the radio, there he is. The helicopter swoops in. But at the same time, he hears shouts and the pounding of feet closing in from afar. Snuff your flare. It blinds our night vision. He instantly grabs the flare, shoves it into the mud, pressing it down until it goes out, leaving a thin trail of smoke. Right in front of him, a U.S. rescue helicopter descends, rotor wash blasting grass and mud into the air. The door slides open, and silhouettes in flight suits and armor jump down. How are you feeling, sir? Great. Now let's get out of here. In a few chaotic seconds, they haul him aboard. The helicopter lifts off, carrying Zelko away from the Serbian fields just seconds before the search parties surge into the landing zone. Tonight, he survives. But on the ground, someone else is also feeling like he has scored a goal. Inside the S-125 control cabin, Zoltán Dani and his crew receive confirmation. The target is hit. The ghost has fallen. For them, the feeling is like winning a championship match. Later, Dani would say, when it hit, it felt very good, like scoring the winning goal in a football match. In the days that followed, Serbian forces were not prevented from reaching the crash site of the F-117. The airframe was torn apart, but many pieces remained intact enough to haul away. The U.S. Air Force did not destroy the wreckage, and it became a huge propaganda victory for Serbia. They had laid hands on the ghost. Today, parts of Vega 31 still lie in the Museum of Aviation in Belgrade. Jagged pieces of faceted skin, charred fragments of wing. Proof that even something advertised as invisible can fall to Earth like anything else. In radar and air defense circles, the Nighthawk story still comes with a joke. It has the signature of a baseball. Sir, we have a baseball on the radar flying at 1,000 kilometers per hour. On the night of March 27th, 1999, amid rain and clouds, on Dani's P-18 scope, that baseball appeared, a tiny dot amid the clutter, and that was enough to change the history of modern aviation. On Zelko's side, after returning home, he consistently expressed a desire to meet the man who shot him down, not to seek revenge, but to shake his hand and congratulate him. He understood that on the other side was a capable, disciplined opponent who most likely loved his own country just as much as Zelko loved the United States. In 2011, just 12 years after that fateful night, it finally happened. In a documentary film, Darrell Zelko and Zoltán Dani at last sat across from each other, not through a gun sight, but across a table, with coffee and camera lights. By then, Dani had retired from the military. The only commander ever to shoot down a stealth aircraft in combat was now a baker living a quiet life, kneading dough and baking bread for his neighbors.